Hi, I was watching last night the discussion between, sorry, come on, between this Matthew Kim, who's a new podcaster, excuse me, covering the Charlie Kirk assassination that I've come across. And he seems to be a very reasonable, level-headed person. There's some real doozies in here. Um, I mean, the saga of Gary Melton and his just obsession with Candace Owens really has gotten comical. Um, Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. Apparently, there's some people out there who don't like my raspy throat voice. So anyway, he does seem to be over a word of insanity. And there's this guy, another guy, Blake Bednarz, who he has a company. He's a business owner. He sells insurance in Texas, in Lubbock, Texas. Well, my parents were living there for a while. I'm sure if he went to the library of Lubbock, Texas, or the secondhand bookstore, they'll remember my parents. They spent lots of time. My mother, they ended up, my mother ended up in the hospital with her Epstein-Barr was flaring up. So, and that's the last place they were living independently. And then they had to go to Chicago to live near my brother for, well, it was assisted living, they called it, but then they both passed away from COVID. I mean, the whole thing makes me so angry because if everybody had wanted to destroy me from the beginning, my ex-husband, my siblings, I mean, first thing I would have done was would have been to have gotten housing for them. But yeah, I don't know. That was not in God's plan. I don't know what, you know. He was just such a good man, my father. He didn't deserve what happened to him. Just like Charlie didn't deserve what happened to him. I mean, I don't know. He was not, I don't know, the whole funding and all of these evangelical mega churches. I mean, I already find people who go to church and stuff hypocritical most of the time. The mega church people are another category of themselves. So I think, because and in fact, he didn't start out like that. It was something else before TPUSA, and it was just about fiscal responsibility in Washington. Not party politics. We're not going to talk about any of these other volatile issues. It's fiscal responsibility in Washington. And that's probably where, yeah, he needs somebody to control him. And he really wasn't very successful until he got an injection of money. I mean, this is not rocket science. If you really want a company, whether it be an organization, whether it be a for-profit or non-profit, you need some capital. People who say, oh yeah, I started it from my garage. Well, yeah, that's how I started Global Expats. It wasn't my garage. It was my desk from my bedroom upstairs. I didn't have my office, the room next to that was for my jewelry making. So, all I needed was a computer. That's where the computer was. Whatever. And at that time, at first it was on the phone line. So you still need some capital. You're not going to be able to build a multi-million-dollar company with one computer and yourself. It may start that way, but it certainly will. If it's going to develop into anything, it's not going to be that. So let's take a listen to these guys. I was looking for the background, something with Orem, Utah. I have to tell you, Utah, I mean, I grew up in Arizona and I adore the West. And Utah looks beautiful. I've never been to Utah. I'm sure we've driven through it. My parents would go to California. But anyway, so let's take a listen, because maybe I'll jump in on the listen a little bit here, and then we'll go directly to this JasonGoodman and the court case against him, because his name came up with this conversation. So let's take a listen. Oops, and for that, first I need to sharing. There's my little and gosh, sorry, okay, let's take a listen.
Incident. Maybe he's got to pull up an image. I'll put this back on here. He'll come back on.
And look, I was the same way, Matt. Hang on, I'm going to go. Let me make this live to my audience first, and then I can focus on a train of thought. Okay, my stuff is now streaming. So,
cool.
Okay, so look. Those are tiny pieces. I want you to imagine coagulated blood, or blood that is in the process of being coagulated. That would be the only rational explanation for why pieces of the microphone would have made it from under the tent, being tackled.
Right.
Remember, we got his shirt coming up where we can see his belly as he's being that's the last 20 seconds that we ever see of Charlie as he's being taken by the team.
Yep.
What we are seeing from the photos that Candace leaked does not make sense from an aspect of how would those pieces, assuming it was the microphone that exploded,
right?
It would have only made it to the SUV had it been somehow blood have been kind of like a sticky agent.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
The pieces that we see in that SUV look deliberately planted.
Oh, interesting.
Everything in the SUV, the sack.
It is a staged scene because it's after they had already got there. They removed the floor mats from the front. One is flipped over. Like they tampered with it. They wiped down the blood off the seats. Like you would have seen, it would have been thicker on the seats. They clearly wiped it down. They changed that car before those pictures were taken. So what we're seeing is not how it was when they pulled Charlie out.
That was why I was contacted. I was contacted by someone that looked inside.
Oh, no way.
That was their the SUV that brought him in looked nothing like the pictures that Candace put out.
Nuts.
Plain and simple.
You think it's
the reason that I was contacted was because I apparently am the only nutcase that is crazy enough to go against Candace.
No. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I don't think you're crazy. I think.
See, this is kind of the problem. This whole thing has become. I mean, this is particularly evident with Baron Coleman. This Candace worship thing. Well, in the case of Baron Coleman, it's worship Candace. In the case of Gary Melton, it's attack Candace. Not attack, any of the theories that she's presenting. Attack her personally. Or attack personally in the case of Mitch Snow, attack the witness that she's brought in without having looked at anything. Nobody and everybody is still repeating lies about Mitch Snow. How he's a liar, that he is not credible. I looked into that. I'm back and forth with the Cat Espinda. She's the one, this is a case in Washington State. And she's the one who is kind of picking up the ball and talking about what's going on in her community. This is Benton County. And this is precisely what we need. We need all of this at the local levels. I mean, I've been trying to get this with all of the protective mothers for 2 decades. We need, coordination at the local level, the state level, and here in Washington at the federal level. For example, the TAFTA, the Obama started that, all of that money, reunification of families and things. Oh, that was just money that went to, because what was happening was the federal government would give states money for every child that was moved from the foster care system to adoption. Well, that just opened the floodgate of greed to traffic children. So as I say, I really, really applaud what Cat Espinda is doing, and we need this everywhere. So, it's this popularity contest instead of concentrating on what killed Charlie Kirk and who killed Charlie Kirk. And I understand Blake, his frustration with this, because I was afraid, same frustration. And I mean, Matt's right. Blake's not the only one to be kind of like, wait a second, what's going on here in the investigation? I got no problem with Candace leading it, but then she's got to lead it. I mean, I'm the first one to say project manager, president, whatever. I'm here at your service. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'm more than willing to help. I'm not, you want to, you're in charge. I'm not going to try and take the ball from you. You're in charge, and I'm here to help. Now, for whatever reason, you don't want to, or you can't take charge, and I take charge, don't give me shit. And just, be here to help. Because this is where you get too many chefs boiling the soup and managerialism. This is what the problem
You're just not afraid to speak what you think is the honest truth. And if that points to someone who happens to have one of the biggest podcasts and whatever, I agreed with you a long time ago that no one should be above criticism in this whole thing, right? Not because she's his friend, not because she's leading the investigation, not Barron. Barron shouldn't be untouchable. Ian Carroll, no one should be untouchable, right? Like if at any point something comes out that seems to contradict the facts of the day, all of us deserve the truth, and we should be able to ask the question regardless of who presented the information. And so if she's the one that presented it and it turns out that it's not what it appears to be, then it just happens to be that we're questioning her because she's the one that released it. We would have questioned anyone who's the one that released it, though. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 100%. All right. I'm bringing these up on stage here.
Do you think it's a different SUV completely?
Yeah. And let me explain to you why. Because, okay, here, there's my photo album. Share. I want to apologize to your audience. I literally just drove into town.
I know. I told him too.
So the thing is, I'm going to, fast forward on some of this stuff because I want to get into the other thing with the JasonGoodman. The thing is, and Blake's right in this. Wait a second. He thinks it's another car. Where did Candace get these images? That's what he wants to know. Where'd she get the images? If it was the police who had taken the images and it's an ongoing investigation, they'd have serious problems for publishing them. If it's the TPUSA, why? So anyway, here, listen.
Ones that leaked it to Candace, and given how everything has been under the most just lock and key. I mean, there's been nothing being released out, right? I mean, so that would raise way more questions on Candace than what have already been.
Yeah.
So it has to be TPUSA.
Yeah.
This is what really, really bothers me.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
These are questions that no one is asking. If you just step back,
right,
and you just objectively put on your critical thinking hat, ask yourself, what good would this do to leak this to Candace?
Yeah.
Other than controlled opposition, psyop type stuff, where we want this stuff out because we want people looking here. We want people talking about this when in fact it's something else altogether.
Yeah.
So let's just break it down. Number one, we don't know when these were sent. She talks about it for the first time right here on this show. This is her episode 281. It's December the 17th. And she says they have 6 photographs that were shared. 6. I really want to play. I want to play this because this bothers me so much, the way that she discusses it. Let me put it in there because
how many did she share with all of us? 3? 2?
On December the 17th, she only shared 1 because her words were it was too gory. And she was afraid that it was going to, she doesn't come out and say it. She essentially is alluding to the fact that it's too gory.
Like for YouTube?
For YouTube.
The blood on the front of the seat?
Yes.
And when did she finally say, she implied that some local law enforcement gave it to her, right? At a later date, she implied that, right?
She did. Let me pull this off real quick. And then I need to put 2 videos in and then I will have it ready to go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
While you do that, I'll talk for a second. Yeah, because like the person, if it was local law enforcement, if it was any kind of law enforcement entity or individual, you can't release evidence to an ongoing investigation. Like you're going to lose your job. You could be prosecuted yourself. Like your whole career is over. like no one sending her crime scene investigation photos in an ongoing investigation where the person is up for death, right? And hasn't even made it to the preliminary hearing, let alone the actual trial. Like that's crazy that a local law enforcement official would literally risk their entire career to do that. And then, so my other question, my other hypothesis was, it had to have been TPUSA. Who else had custody of the car? Who else had access to the car to take pictures? And I speculated like, okay, maybe the security team had to take photos for insurance, right? For their insurance purposes, because they just lost the person that they're tasked to protect, right? They're going to have to maybe take photos to, I don't know, or TPUSA, maybe for life insurance, they would need to take photos. But then that implicates TPUSA as the one of having photos. And then I did, even way back when these came out, I was like, it would have had to be them. It would have, and we know that she had a direct contact to Andrew Colvett and Terrell and was getting information. But why would they release this? Like it doesn't make sense unless it's not what it appears to be, and they're controlling us and what we think about this case by giving us images that aren't real.
100%.
I don't know any other reason why, because like if these were real photos from inside the real SUV, no freaking way. They're all on an NDA. Terrell Farnsworth, like they for sure signed. They can't release information, especially like with this. There's no way they could release anything without possibly getting sued by TPUSA and Erica Kirk.
Yeah. And then
they're going to help.
I turn into the whipping boy, Matt, whenever I start asking these questions. I mean, there's so much going on right before our faces that when I start to talk about it, I really begin to sound crazy, and I'm not crazy, but there is an army of people, of accounts that literally are simping.
Yeah, they are.
For Candace.
Yeah, there is.
Bro, they're like these accounts that are telling me to take a chill, like I'm, I've lost my mind, that Candace has got it. Like, I mean, literally, I did a test tweet the other day, last night, as I'm driving to my son's swim meet, where I'm like, I made a Candace post about there being bots, and I just wanted to see who would respond to it. And I was like, this is great. Y'all are, I mean, this is,
they're outing themselves. Yeah,
absolutely. And it is insane to see. I don't get it. This is like something weaponized where she is in a very powerful, high regard.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty scary.
Yeah. And
there is no questioning her, Matt. You
Correct.
cannot, and if you do, guess what? You better get ready to be doxxed, threatened.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's why I know, like, I was there the other night on the X Base. Like, people, I think, misunderstand what it is you've gone through. Like, holy smokes, dude. Like, we were talking about
I've been through
I know. And so, like, I get why you're so heated about this whole thing, because it's not like people are just like casually questioning you, like they're not casually attacking you. It's like full on assault from like all different angles. I loved when you were like, shut the Muppet.
Dude, this, I mean, to have a dude that has a Aussie or English accent come on and start freestyling the biggest lies about me this case, dude, you want to talk? I mean, number one, you're not even an American citizen. Your handle is Muppet Masher.
My wife thought it was a joke when you said it. I was like, no, that's his handle.
No, that's literally, there are these anonymous accounts that most of them are not United States citizens.
Correct.
And for some reason, they have taken the most keen interest in Charlie Kirk, which is of our country.
It's interesting. Like, I get a lot of people being interested in this, but that some of the most like frontline people aren't even American citizens.
Bro,
it's interesting. It is interesting.
I have stuff recorded from these people over the last 7 months and 1 day of dealing with this, and it is the Canadians. There are some batshit crazy Canadians out there that are super interested in this investigation. I won't get into their religion, but it is very, very odd. It
is off. Yeah.
It does not make a lot of sense.
No.
And I mean it. If there's anybody out there that's like a documentary filmmaker, I mean, I would have some insane content to share this journey that I've been through, because psyops are real.
Yeah.
Disinformation rings are real.
100%.
Controlled opposition is real. And there is something major happening right in front of our faces. Because look, if it's not outed here, it will happen again. Yeah, they're honing in their skills, and they figured out this is a new battlefield to basically combat the information space.
Yeah. Like 100%, they realize that their old tactics, like through mainstream news, don't work anymore. This is the new medium most people tune into, and there's no way they're going to let that medium be in our hands without having people set out. Charlie Kirk assassination is the biggest thing in our lifetime right now. There's no way they're sitting back and they're just letting us do this. No freaking way, dude. And they are sharpening their skills through this. They're seeing what's working, what to do, what not to do, because this isn't going to be the last time something happens, but they are figuring out like how to perfect this thing for sure.
Yep. So it really, it's disheartening whenever you've got, 4-hour, 5-hour spaces on X dedicated to just full on attacking you.
Yeah.
There's been a slow, because a lot of people have not been in this investigation the entire time.
Correct.
So they might have jumped in November or December.
Yeah.
And then they're like starting to demand things of me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
No, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I did do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm on the third doxing of myself. Okay. Yeah. Like, so it's like new people come in and
I love people who come in and try and tell you what you need to do. When you're like, been there, done that. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. and been there, done that. Now, you want to try and listen to what I have to say and where I am. Your input might be useful. It might not, but it might be useful. But you got to get yourself up to speed. I mean, you walk in the middle of a freaking conference or something. You missed half the thing. You get yourself up to speed. You read the script, whatever. You figure out what's already happened before you go and start giving orders of what people should be doing. That is one thing that drives me freaking crazy.
They somehow feel behind their profile picture that's a cat or something, or a cartoon figure with a magnifying glass. They think that they're going to be superhuman, like they're just these Billy badasses. And I'm telling you, like, no. So anyways, I've got all this kind of, it's overload, and yes. I try to keep it not where it affects or distracts me. But it is interesting to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so back to the pictures. Did you get them pulled up? Oh, yeah. I got to add it in. You were waiting on me.
So this is what really interests me. I mean, anybody who's interested in the assassination, check these out and what Blake is saying here. I mean, if these aren't really the crime scene, if this is another car, I don't know exactly what we're seeing then. So there's a lot of, I mean, I've been kind of more looking at how the podcasters are responding. That's what I'm extremely interested in finding out. We need to get more data and stuff. I mean, Blake's on the right track to get together a documentary person to start looking into this, and putting the pieces together of how this is being influenced. You already see with a lot of the algorithms, everybody's always talking about, oh, what is this going to do to my algorithm? Then there are these bot accounts. And Gary Melton kind of explained, it's funny how sometimes your adversaries will give away their what's giving them a voice, because I think there's several things going on there. You'll see a number of these accounts, for example, Baron Coleman, he really started his videos with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, he could have very well washed what he had before, because he was a radio broadcaster in the past. So, I mean, that he would have jumped in and I mean, he obviously has experience in that arena. But how many subscribers did he have at the beginning? And I mean, these guys have stellar careers, as they call them in the international development community, which is, see, this is another thing, the world where Erica Kirk is, or aspired to be with her Miss America pageant stuff, and I'm sure you can hear crackling, sorry. I was drinking something and it spilled. That whole international community and the development community. So anyway, so you have the algorithms, then you have these bots, and the bots kind of work out that it'll be somebody like various accounts, and it's some electronic system, and then they can send stuff in various accounts, and then they're anonymous, and it's all to manipulate the system, to either promote or demote somebody. I mean, often it'll come, the demote, it'll come in forms of insults. We'll see this in defamation. And it's got to stuff. So sometimes it might be defamation, organic defamation, somebody who's really out there. Sometimes it might be some sort of AI assisted, what are we going to call it? I don't know. Psyoping on the internet, psyoping a podcast. I don't know. In order to make them look better or make them look worse. It's the same type of thing that goes on in a community with the gossiping, like, oh, oh, did you know this? Did you know that? And either you can make up stories, you can make good gossip to make somebody look good or to make them look bad. And that's what they're doing. And then another thing that I'm seeing and also needs to be looked into is all of these super chats, the paid for super chats. Ooh, I mean, sometimes you'll see like $500. It's rare, but it can be. And I have no money, but I've done a couple of them. They read a couple of them. But so how much money are they making off of those things? Let's say the average is going to be like $20. Let's just put on, or your median, if you will. Let's just put it at that. How much are they making? Let's say per night off of those things. Oh, because Valhalla can go on for hours and hours. You'll finish them all. So that's another thing. They can keep on kind of however much money they want to make off of it and keep it up. Yeah, you can make a shitload of money off of this thing. But let's put it at $500 per night. Not bad. Then they would get some, then they have their merch, and then they'll do advertising. Because it's not, they don't do the pop-up advertisers. I'm not getting the pop-ups anymore, but I think now I'm paying more on YouTube. I got to check my account where I think I upped my account. Maybe that's why I'm not getting so much of the advertiser pop-ups. That must be it. But so they'll announce, I mean, it's not these pop-up advertisers. They'll actually, like Megyn Kelly, they'll buy this product. Tucker Carlson does the same thing. So it's the old school, like time of Ronald Reagan, when he was doing, he had this house in Hollywood, for people who don't know. He had this house in Hollywood that was made by General Electric, and he and Nancy would, show all of the products, the home products to consumers to buy. And they were like the sponsors of the different programs that were going on at the time. I never saw, I'm not sure exactly I never saw them in any show. So I don't know exactly how it worked, but I know how that was. But this is going back to that Ronald Reagan General Electric advertising model. So that kind of is interesting. So, okay, they're making money that way. So the thing is, what's going on there is how much of that money, because I'll go into who are who's the person making the donate, giving them the money and the super chat. And who is it? Now, you could do a lot of manipulation. It wouldn't be expensive for a corporation. You give more money to this guy, you give more money to that guy, but you do it through $20, $30, $40, $50, $100 super chats. to different podcasters you want to promote. Because as they said here, the mainstream media model is broken, so they need to, figure out how they're going to do a new model and how to manipulate the masses. So you got to get ahead of the game with these people. This is why it's important to pay attention. And I can promise you, they're all con artists. So they're so busy building their cons, they're not even worried about anybody else looking at them, and they don't even think that anybody's looking at them because it's been a free-for-all for generations. Nobody's been paying attention. Either the trad wives are stoned in their country clubs. Now they've gotten on these platforms and become real, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or whatever. Instead of hanging out in country clubs, they're hanging out in some studio. The same bullshit. Or they're the having it all ball busting bitches in the corporate structures. And the functions that they used to fulfill for free have now been professionalized by a bunch of feminist bitches who have infiltrated the human resource management. Before, the human resource really just did pay, and it was word of mouth, people being promoted, and it was usually by merit. Okay, there are plenty who have slept their way to the top and stuff. We can pull out Marilyn Monroe. All of the men were with Candace Owens. I'm like, this is the Marilyn Monroe phenomena. How they all love. She's a pretty face, I admit it. She's a pretty face. But, so is Megyn Kelly. Pick your poison. They're all from that same entertainment industry. And that's why I contacted Candace years ago about my research into the feminist. Not even the courtesy of, thanks for contacting us, whatever. But this is the same stuff with my dad's work and in the medical community. It's all about egos and making money and finance. It's the same thing. Legal community, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with all of the 10%ers, and everybody's bitches about the 1%ers, but it's the 10%ers who enable them, and the rest of the society that loves to hate them. Everybody wants the lifestyle of the rich and famous. For generations now, everybody's been drinking and passing out that Kool-Aid. I fled. That one of the things that I liked about my ex-husband, he was the only one in his family to be have a college degree. His brother also, it's different in Europe, the system. So his brother also went to college, but my ex-husband is kind of like my ex-husband had an MBA, if you will, and his brother had some college. But most of, the rest of my ex-husband's family were obreros, most of them, all of them that I knew. One uncle that I really loved and respected he was a truck driver. That man, it was amazing. Amazing. Never in my life have I seen somebody capable of consuming. He would drink beer all day long, never be drunk, not in the least. It was incredible. He was such a good man. Oh, his wife was a piece of work. I assume he's passed away now. such a good man. Um, but his wife, who was the the aunt of my ex-husband's mother, a real piece. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, talk about abusive mothers. But so anyway, he, as I say, he it was incredible. They came up. He would never go on vacation, but so we're living in Brussels, and she convinces him they're going to go on vacation. Um, and so they come up to Brussels, and he keeps on telling me my ex-husband's getting upset with me every day he comes home, and his uncle is fixing the door, or fixing this or fixing that. And I said, Xavier, he asked, he's like, oh, this door is not working properly. It's not opening and closing correctly. Give me a screw. And then you know, I mean, I'm a workaholic, but I was like, this man, I don't think I've ever seen anybody who's a workaholic. Anyway, I digress. But see, you know, this is the thing. Um, Good and bad, you find them at all socioeconomic levels. Um, but so anyway, you know, he's the only one who's educated. Um, and now I forgot where I was going with this whole thing. Because what I wanted to get into was in this whole discussion, I got off on my memory lane. Was, and this I'll bring this up in my IMF World Bank stuff. But now, so there was something going on. Oh, there's so many dramas and stuff, you know. It's like all the cackling hens with all the cackling hens at the in the country clubs. Sometimes I'm like, okay, wait, who slept with who and who backstabbed who? And yeah, so whatever. They were talking about Zeb Boykin and this interview that this is a JasonGoodman was doing with Zeb Boykin. Now, Zeb at the beginning, he had brought out these photos, and I remember them coming out. These guys were shooting through everything to try and figure out what could have killed Charlie Kirk, and reproducing the crime scene. So he came out with these videos that said that you could see there were certain, if you stopped a certain image with the camera, you could actually see the bullet. And the bullet was coming from the back of Charlie and not the front. I remember those. I mean, I have absolutely no idea about speeds of cameras and would that even be possible. So, you know, as I say, I've been observing what and who killed Charlie Kirk, because you're going to have to determine that, really figure out who killed them. And definitely this Tyler Robinson kid is being used as a patsy, because it doesn't, I mean, we still don't know what killed Charlie Kirk. So how when you do not know what is the actual cause of death of a person, how can you determine who killed them? So anyway, this is apparently this film has been doctored, and there's a lot of the films out there. A lot of this is going on Twitter. I'm much more following the interviews on YouTube. So a lot of it is fake, and then you've got all of this squabbling going on and accusations and personal attacks between all of these people. So it's really just designed, the whole thing is just designed to kick up dust, create chaos and dissension and division between everybody, so everybody won't concentrate on what we're here to do, and that's to find out who and what killed Charlie. So that I won't play the interview because that's basically the lowdown on it. And this, well, let's do this for a second, because this guy, JasonGoodman, as I say, you know, like a real smooth talker. That's what they'd say when I was young. Hold on.
Really nice guy who I've just become acquainted with, Zeb Boykin. Zeb, excuse me. It's an unusual name. How are you today?
I'm good. It's my grandfather's name. So just trying to carry that on. It is a little unusual. Glad to be here, man. Getting a ton of messages. I know I've reached out to a couple of people. Try to respond to everyone. Right. I want to take as much criticism as I can as possible. And then, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then we can just move on from there.
I don't know. Somebody who starts out their conversation by saying, I want to take on as much criticism as possible when they're here to present a theory. It's just presentation 101. You know, anybody who goes any entry level first year of college will teach you this, or maybe in high school. If you're going to present your premise, your hypothesis, whatever it be, you want to you want to go toward it in a positive rhetoric and not a negative one, because it just it puts your audience in a certain mind frame. So it's one of these cases of thou dost protest too much. It kind of like already takes me aback of like, what? You want to take on a lot of criticism? Also, having said that and been for 20 years exposing the pedophiles and the problems in family court and all of this unpleasantness, I know how people, whistleblowers, are attacked all the time. So a lot of people tend to go on the defensive. And I try and say, I understand why you're getting on the defensive, but don't get on the defensive, because I'm not on the offensive, and it kind of gives you an image of like, why is this person on the defensive? What do they have to defend? What are they hiding? You see what I'm saying? So anyway, 101 presentation, you can save yourself a lot of money from overpriced universities if you're going to do any kind of presentation to somebody. You know, present it of, I know what I'm talking about. I've done. Now, do your research, do your homework before you get involved, and do your homework before you take a position on something. I remember my mom one time, she was like, oh, you wouldn't talk a lot when you were little, but when you got started, you wouldn't stop. I'm like, well, I actually thought about what I was going to say before I opened my mouth. And everybody, well, except my father, but my sisters and my mother were always squabbling about who's going to decide what and when and where we're going to do and what we're going to do. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pull out my book and let me know when you've decided. And anyway, yeah, memory lane again.
There, but
Right.
So far, here we are.
Yeah, and I mean, before we...
I don't know, seeing with the TPUSA stuff, seeing Tucson in Arizona again. Yeah, a lot of memories.
Get to any questions about what's right or what's wrong. I just want to say you and I have only become acquainted over the past 2 or 3 days, but it's a result of what I think is incredible work that you've been doing. For anybody that hasn't seen you, they can follow you on X at Zeb Boykin, and you've got a lot of posts going on there. People can also follow your excellent YouTube channel.
See, he's got over 7,000 followers. I'm not sure. All of these people, this is not organic.
Outside the Overton. And you've basically been going through video evidence and ballistic evidence from the Charlie Kirk assassination, like so many people, just trying to find the right answers. And I appreciate you leading by saying if you're wrong, you're open to being corrected. And that's the way to do it. I just think you're doing great work. And before we get into what you've found, just give everybody a little background on you so they can understand where your expertise.
See, also this I find strange. So he jumps in, this gets into PSYOP stuff. He jumps in and he validates Zeb initiating the conversation with, it's great that you like criticism and so, because this is another thing. Somebody who starts out a conversation like that, 9 times out of 10, they don't want you criticizing anything they got to say. Gary Melton is a prince when it comes to that one.
Tease comes from, and then we'll get into the stuff that you've been discovering.
Yeah, so I guess a little background to me is, I attempted to retire from this stuff. It's been about 8 years since I've gotten out of the Marine Corps. That was 2017. I guess we could start there. So I joined when I was 19, kind of left college to do that. I went in the Marine Corps, went into what's called Fast Company. It's like a QRF type react force. And we do close quarters combat. We do mount is what it's called, MOUT. And then from there, I went to a couple of designated marksman schools, learned a little bit about guns, long guns primarily. And then that was about 2.5 years. And then I went into what they call the fleet. The fleet is, I ended up in 1-6. And then I think like 2 weeks into that, I ended up in what's called a stay or sniper platoon. And then they sent me off to school not long after that, get through sniper school, and went on a MU. And obviously a couple of other deployments earlier in the Marine Corps career. I never spent time in country or anything, but and have complete respect for those guys. But at the end of the day, I mean, the training's there. I'd prefer to have done something with the training, but here we are. Maybe it works out in the end. I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's basically my background, and then from there I've kind of
also how much money is being spent to train, wasted to train all of these military people like him. I mean, he got all of this training, but never really used it and left. So there's a lot of these guys. Even Mitch Snow was like, oh yeah, it's great, the military. You can travel around and do a lot of things. And I mean, I'm not, defund the military or anything. I definitely believe in the 2 founding fathers I point to. John Dickinson, he was the penman of the Revolution. He's in my family tree from, this is my father's mother. She was a Paul, her father was Paul, and her mother was a Dickinson. So that goes to the Dickinson line. The Paul line is John Paul Jones. Now, I haven't been able to find, I've gotten to Scotland, but in that region, but exactly his family, that's hard because he came from his father was a gardener at some estate. So there's not great birth records for poor people. So anyway, but that, John Paul Jones, he did believe, he was not a bloodthirsty wasn't a bloodthirsty pirate. I vindicate in my work and stuff. I vindicate completely John Paul Jones. There was a conversation. This was in the family stories, my grandmother, and I guess it was maybe, I forget, her aunts or something were talking about John Paul Jones, and one was, he was a, an adventurer, this romantic, guy, and the other was, he was a rake. Yeah. So as I say, I'm not about defunding the military, but yeah, we need some stop just throwing money away.
Bounced around jobs on and off, just depending on, we had a shutdown during COVID. I had to go did insurance for a little while, and then, that just wasn't me. So I started a couple of businesses, sold those, and I've been doing essentially full-time podcasting since then, about a year ago. And since then, I haven't really touched any of this. I haven't touched, I think Marine Corps I brought up 3 or 4 times throughout like the last 8 months. And so I try not to lean on past.
He's got WASP in his Twitter. I don't know what that is. For me, that means white Anglo-Saxon American Protestant.
Laurels, and I just want the thoughts that come out of my head to kind of move forward. So I'm gonna try and keep leaning into that as we move forward, and hopefully everybody that's found me since the ballistics video will appreciate everything else that comes from this. So, it's the same application, right? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you're gonna have to prove it to me, because
exactly.
Well, if it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yeah, you've brought forward some great evidence. And one thing that I really appreciate about your approach is that you've got, and by the way, I wouldn't minimize any of that experience that you've just shared with us. That's a lot of education, a lot of hands-on experience with a lot of equipment and tactics. And, okay, you haven't been in country, so there's other people that have other experience that you don't have. But in addition to all of your firearms and military and Marine Corps experience, you've got a great deal of expertise in video production and technology, and you are very meticulous in your approach to evidence. And I appreciate that, because we see so many people who are reposting these decimated and thrice transcoded junky videos that really cannot be relied upon. And you, just yesterday, I think, have gone to, correct me if I'm wrong, you've gone to the original uploader, the person who recorded this video, on their phone, and you've obtained the original file. Is that correct?
Yeah, so somebody sent me that. I don't have the name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I've been getting inundated with insane amount of messages, which is, I appreciate, but much of it is extremely repetitive. But yeah, so I got this original video, and I want to kind of mention what you just mentioned a second ago. I feel like I'm uniquely qualified for this. I'm not trying to minimize the credibility necessarily. I just want the evidence to kind of speak for itself, and that's kind of where I wanted to take that, not necessarily minimizing it. But yeah, the video aspect, along with the ballistics aspect, and having the ability to stream, podcast, record, explain this stuff is at a crossroads at which there's a few people that could do it that haven't really, and I'm not sure why they haven't. But maybe there's good reason for it. But yeah, I do feel like I'm relatively uniquely qualified to do it, and I'm trying to come at this with as much open mind as I can.
Yeah. And so the thing that happened when you, and by the way, I'm not just trying to be some kind of annoying stickler when I tell people get the original videos. It's critically important from several standpoints. First of all, look, we're not the cops, but we do want to be aware of the chain of custody of this evidence, because sometimes, whether it's, let's just call it inadvertent, because I'm not going to accuse anybody of malicious conduct without direct evidence of that. But when people upload these videos, they add text, they add their tags. It changes things about what we're looking at that can cause false positives. It can cause people, people are looking at every little dot in a low bit rate cropped video that we just don't know who has done what to it. This is why it is important to go to these original videos. And also in this higher bit rate original acquisition footage, you're going to see details that you're not going to see in these other decimated videos. And so, Zeb, tell us what it is that you've found, because I think it's very critical evidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to keep up because, I mean, it's not really their fault. They're just, a lot of people are just behind, and I've explained a lot of things multiple times, but I guess it's just it's stuck in my head. I guess, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me sharpen the question. And we should warn viewers that you and I might be looking at some pretty graphic footage. So if people don't want to see the injury, now is the time to click off. But specifically, you have found what you believe to be a projectile in this footage. Is that correct?
I mean, that's what it appears to be. And so, I can only take that as it goes. But then, like I said, I mentioned in the live stream, there's some follow-up from that, from the cleanup and then from the tampered evidence video that would kind of lend to the idea that we know where the bullet went. So I guess that's exactly what you're talking about.
Here? That looks like an insect maybe flying. No? This
is
the thing?
Yeah, no, there's definitely anomalies throughout the video, but the problem is what you have to do is we can guesstimate on where and when something would be where it's at. And so if we do that and then we look and it's there, it's like, okay.
Right.
Okay. So I think that's where we're at right now. And things just move differently. They move like if a bullet's just going to move differently, even if it's moving slow, it's going to move different than whatever butterfly was in the way
right.
it's in.
Yeah, that I agree was some sort of an insect, or it seemed to be at least. The thing that really caught my attention was that you found items that seemed to be pointing at Charlie, and you found two specific frames right before he was hit. First of all, let's just play this video so people can see it. And then I want you to take us through what you found and what you think it might be. Let's just take a look at this. It's not playing. Interesting. Why isn't it playing? Now, the video that you sent me, it initially said it wasn't happy with QuickTime, and I just quickly put it through Adobe Premiere and put out a new MP4 file. Do you know, I don't want you to tell me anything about the person who sent it to you, but do you know what type of phone it was shot with or anything like that?
I don't. I would have to go back. I don't even know who sent it to me. Like I said, I just been
okay. Let's take a look.
Sent so much that
Right. So, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
I mean, I don't know why anybody would, any of these people who've been analyzing any of these videos. Sorry, I think you can probably hear that. Why they would be interested. Excuse me, why they would not be interested. And like, where did this video come from? Who did it come from? Has it been altered in any form? I mean, that would be the first, if you're investigating something, that would be your first question and the first, and I don't know enough about the technology, but I know these guys have the technology to be able to run this and say, oh yeah, this is a good original one, or this one's been doctored. That's just irresponsible.
It's five. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
So obviously that's the horrendous moment. But what you've found is there seems to be something coming at Charlie right before he's hit. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to look back at it again this morning, But from somebody super chatted yesterday and brought it up, which in the original video I assumed was a muzzle flash. I'm confident that it's not a muzzle flash, but I think it's better. Let me see if I can.
So this, this started a whole speculation on this theory. This theory has since been completely debunked. And, my question is, like, when you're coming up with these theories, you guys, what's your protocol? What are your standards of examining evidence, trails of evidence that are being sent to you? Because, really, if you're going to get into this game, you don't have to have a degree from some journalism school. I mean, the whole school scam, that's got to stop. I am for like a liberal arts education for everybody. It's kind of like just like after World War II, all of a sudden, high school was pretty much everybody in the United States had a high school education, or a large majority. Probably, I don't know, around World War I, it might have been like 8th grade. Then this moved to, then that was the highest grade. Then it was high school. And I think a 4-year college, populations are getting older and definitely, can stay in the workforce for longer. Get them out of the madmen, they hate their job and they're just punching in and drinking the Kool-Aid and passing out Kool-Aid so they can collect their pension fund and just hope that their pension fund, that the stock market hasn't collapsed before they die. And that's the urban role model America the Great everybody's been promoting, and what Trump and his Trump forevers want to maintain, as well as the international development community has been on that trajectory and that agenda for a long time. So, as I say, you don't have to have a journalism degree, but or even a poli-sci degree to become a politician, or a law degree to be able to understand what's going on in the courts. I mean, to practice law, of course you do. Just like, being a doctor, you do need to before you practice law, you do need to have a license or go on to med school. We do need some standards, particularly in these type of professions where you need to be, it's like accountants. You want to make sure that these people are qualified, although accountants still is kind of an iffy. Accounting, as I say, it's not, oh shoot, this thing is breaking. Accounting's not exactly, like a doctor, he's playing with your health. Or a lawyer, they're playing with your lives as well. They don't seem to get that. In the case of like penal codes, you could go to prison, and in the other case, you could lose everything that you have, or not be able to start your business or whatever. So, and you do, maybe with the podcasters out there, these independent journalists or something, because this is a problem. George Webb, we saw that his name came up with the case with JasonGoodman. There needs to be some sort of regulation or standards or something, because this is the Wild West. So we saw the, I think I didn't show that earlier, the slide. Yeah, so we saw the, this with Zeb Boykin and JasonGoodman. But you see, he's such a smooth talker, JasonGoodman. It kind of like, I don't know, let's just say my My women's intuition alert button it kind of got pushed. Of what's this guy? So let's go down here. This is all about standing cause, jurisdiction, statement of the facts. Let's see. Plaintiffs have no agents. So this is against, sorry, I should have started that way. This is against Robert David Steele and Earth Intelligent Network. So Steele against JasonGoodman. So here, let's go and look at Steele for a second. Oh, shoot. Is that not his Wikipedia? Sorry. I got the wrong link in there, so. No, there's several of them. No. What's his name? Oh, Robert David Steele. Whoops. There we go. Okay, Robert. He died in 2021 from COVID complications. So he was an American case officer for the CIA, co-founder of the United States Marine Corps intelligence activity, and conspiracy theorist. Okay, his father was an executive for an oil company. Yeah, a lot of these guys, I think, who end up in the CIA. Let's just say the oil company people seem to have a lot of people who end up in Washington. Okay, he held a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, a master's degree in International Relations, and an advanced management program in public administration. Well, these advanced management programs in public administration, they need an investigation because the bureaucrats they are producing are robots and brown nosers and con artists and idiots and give me an old-fashioned secretary who knows how to do her job. I mean, I keep on saying that the only person I ever had any respect for in Washington, the many years I've lived here, was the administrative assistant or the executive assistant to the senator I worked for from 81 to 85, Patsy Geyer. I mean, she ran that place shipshape. She taught me how to run an efficient office. And I mean, my mom, everything with my mom was chaos. And I think that's probably why I stayed at the senator's office. I mean, it looked good on my resume, of course, but, you know, it was like organization insanity in a world of complete insanity. If it wasn't Washington, it was what was going on with my mom all the time. So anyway, Steele is credited with coining the phrase virtual intelligence and peacekeeping information. He called for intelligence reforms in the U.S. and advocated for the private sector to develop and sell such intelligence to the central government. He was a supporter of open source intelligence and argued that the CIA refused to take open source information seriously and should not be responsible for developing new systems that ran contrary to its history of secrecy. This gentleman interested me a lot. Okay, so conspiracy theories. When touring his 2014 open source everything manifesto, Steele claimed without providing evidence that I personally think that pedophilia is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. The U.S. public is in massive denial of how corrupt its elite are. Pedophilia is considered an elite privilege. Yeah, I've been pointing this out to my family and friends who are amongst the elite on both sides of the pond since 2000. Well, I got started in 2008 with my own case. With my experience with family courts, because this is how it's being, the pedophiles, they're being enabled by the courts, family courts, or then also not being prosecuted. I mean, the guy who lived in the room next to me, he moved out, I think, when I was supporting Bobby Kennedy's campaign, and he thought, oh God, she's going to get a voice, and then he was really in trouble. Because when I had gotten fired from, I think this was the black group that couldn't stand me. And so, see, this is the whole thing. I've been challenging everybody on this at will employment. I'm sorry. That is being used to terrorize workers, and it's got to be challenged in the courts. I was listening to this young man, O'Connor, and he pointed out, like, the left saying, oh yeah, but that's an at-will state, so they can do it. Erica Kirk has done the same thing with her employees. I'm like, you're a Christian? Conservative? So that's got to be challenged. Anyway, he convicted pedophile. His wife was one of this. This was the Moonies in the 1985. He got married in this mass marriage at Madison Square Garden. This was 1985. It looked like one of these debutante parties. They imported all of these Korean women. That was his wife. So anyway, he was arrested. He was a HR director for the Washington Times. That's the Moonies as well. See, it's you got the Mormons, you got the Moonies. There's lots of different groups. So he got caught in a sting operation. I think it was probably the FBI, but one of those sting operations is, it was online. They were pretending to be a minor girl. He shows up and he gets arrested. It's in the press. His name was, it is Randy Cassidy. So he, when I got fired, I'm like, shit, because nobody, it's getting harder and harder. First, I represent white privilege, and so, no, everybody just wants minorities. So, and then I'm an old lady. And then I'm trying to clean up the courts and all the corruption in Washington. So really, nobody wants to hire me. And, minimum wage job and stuff. So I'm like, shit, I live in a shithole. He had been in prison, so he's in the, trying to find a job, and he was working at the hardware store, Ace Hardware Store. So he starts flashing me all the time. His room is next door, and there's this little crack. And the way that the doors are, it's kind of this 45-degree angle or something. So it's like I can't barely not look in there when I'm opening my door, and he's spread out, buck naked. So of course he knows I can see him, and he's always, like walking back and forth. And yeah, I said to my sister, I said, what the frick does this asshole think? I'm going to be like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. You're just like so sexy. Like, take me, I'm yours. Or what? I'll sleep with you if you pay my rent. Obviously that was his intention. Now, I'm an old lady. I have 2 sons. I know what a man's body looks like, and believe me, and that was another thing. I'm like, buddy. I've even had, this 30-year-old good-looking waiter hit on me and stuff. So, like, and I'm like, I mean, he brought me these beautiful roses for my birthday, and people in the restaurant were like looking and like, "What's going on, the little ladies?" I'm like, "You guys, okay, I'm very very flattered, but come on, ladies, that's not my style. I just like this whole cougar stuff. I don't understand how this is liberating women. I can't stand Leslie Morgan Steiner for all of that bullshit. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject. So let's go back to this conspiracy theories and the pedophiles. yeah. Had this. Oh, and then Kalari Taverna. This is where a lot of the White House people would come. IMF, World Bank people and stuff. I kept on saying the place was, again, shit show. The IMF, labor rights violations all over the place, mismanagement all over the place. Kalari, it was the same thing. My favorite. And these are all of the lobbyists. This is Lobbyville. This is K Street, where they all are. Farragut West. Well, okay, apart from the little mice issues, they were so well known. Even the clientele was like, you know what? I saw one over there. I'm like, oh God, I'll go and tell Rita. Thanks. So anyway, I mean, sometimes I'd be like in the middle of dinner and one would run by, and I'm sitting at the hostess stand trying to like remain calm, cool. Okay, but my favorite. I got, and we would do a busy lunch. I liked working that lunch. We would boom, 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 in and out, and we packed them in. This is like what a lunchroom should be run. This is how they're run in Europe. And so Stavros, the owner, the Greek owner, he hasn't paid the bill. The open table, we're on open table system. He hasn't paid the bill. And I got a full house coming in, and I was starting to plan and stuff. Okay, we got this table, and we're gonna need a table of this, a table of that. Hey, if you want, this is how I got the waiters to move. Hey, if you want a four top, put those tables together, because otherwise you're fucked. Then they would bitch. You only put 3 there. You gave that one 4. I said, yeah, you got another one coming in. Don't worry. And that's oh God, how those waiters would bitch. Yeah. So anyway, 11:30, I lose open table. I'm like, what the fuck? I lose open table. I am fit to be tied, because I'll really get pissed off when I find out it's because Stavros hasn't paid the bill. So they're scrambling around trying to get the open table back up. And I'm sitting there having all of these big wigs. I love it. When these overinflated ego assholes come in here, and I'm like, get in line, wait your turn in line. And they're coming up and they're like, shit, because it is a shit show. I have no idea who I have coming in. And we would often get packed. And, so it's just like, okay, everybody put together 2 tops, 4 tops, whatever, because we juggled. I've never worked at any place. They would give us carte blanche. It was good because you had that mobility and you could really up your numbers by doing this, and you could move your tables all over the place. I just wish he had bought the same Lego. He had all of these different heights of tables and sizes of tables. I was constantly going over and measuring the height of this table over here. Can I put this over there? Anyway, I digress. So, so that happened for that one day, and I am fit to be tied. And I'm telling these guys, I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I'm like, no, Stavros didn't pay the bill. I said, I've been telling you about all of the management problems, and I don't bullshit these people. I'm like, yeah, it's a shit show here. I said, it was the same thing over at the IMF. All you lawyers, why don't you do something about it? So I'm like, see, and they're like, I'm really important. I got to get back to my office. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm flying blind here. Stavros didn't pay the bill. Get in line, because I'm doing the best that I can, but I'm really flying blind here. I don't even know. I saw before the system went down that I have a couple of big tables is coming in. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but we had to set them up. So I'm flying blind. I know how to deal with big wigs with overinflated egos. Believe me, I've done it in airplanes many a time. These businessmen. So anyway, that was just one day. Then it happened again for an entire week. But still, with me going, this is a shit show, you guys. This is a shit show. They all, when I went to Fox, I do my whole elevator speech. One of the things when they fired me from the IMF, okay, you guys, you're not going to invite me to your conferences and your parties, your cocktail parties. I couldn't give a shit. I don't want to waste my time. I'm just going to go where the guys come to lunch, their lunchrooms, and I'll give my elevator speeches there and my spiels. So they all know about this pedophilia bullshit. They all know. I've been telling them. And they all know about the mismanagement going on in the city. They all know about everything. And this is one of the problems that they've got with me. I'm not some, girl from the wrong side of the tracks that nobody ever heard of. My father was a famous cardiologist. I went to Foxcroft, and they all know that I was the smartest person that school ever had. So it's kind of like, well, we'll just, stick her in the kitchen and give her a minimum wage job and tell her that she's a stupid shit and hope that she'll go and jump off a bridge. I told my sister, she's like, just accept your defeat. I'm like, what, you want me to go and jump off a bridge? Telling somebody to go and commit suicide is illegal. I want to know if that's what Carrie Kennedy told Mary Richardson, her sister-in-law, 2 days before she hung herself. And Alan Dershowitz's wife, she committed suicide on New Year's Eve. Respectably, everybody's in an uproar over Epstein, and the sugar babies and all of that. What about the way that Alan Dershowitz treated his first wife? That speaks reams about a person. And that everybody in New York society and everybody in Washington just, nobody says anything about what's going on with Mary Richardson or Susan Barlash, I forget his first wife's maiden name. See, this is el colmo. Carrie Kennedy at the head of the RFK Human Rights Organization, which it promotes LGBT rights. Well, white privilege, she plays Trippin' the Prom Queen and backstabbing witchery games with me. And all of the other Foxcroft, this is Foxcroft, Madera, I forget. Carrie Kennedy, she went, I think it was up in Vermont. And Mary Richardson was her best of friends. They were best friends at boarding school. Then they went to, I think it was Brown. I know JFK Jr., pretty sure went to Brown. Anyway, wherever they went to school, they were at college together and like roommates. Then they lived down the street from each other when they lived in the same, I forget it was DC or is it Connecticut? But always, BF, best friends. Huh? Look at your fair weather friends. And this is the head of a human rights organization? No wonder Amnesty International and Oxfam and all the others. Not only should they be ashamed of themselves, they need to be investigated investigated not only for fraudulent behavior, but party politicking. This is whole LGBT bullshit, is the woke illiberals creating havoc in the Democratic Party, and just so enabling these different minorities so they can engage in power plays. The whole damn game is that. Okay, Steele was a regular guest on Alex Jones' radio show. In an interview by Jones in 2017, Steele claimed NASA holds a colony on Mars populated by human slaves who were kidnapped as children and sent to the planet. Okay, I have to admit, I had never heard of that one. And I just don't think it's logistically possible. Now, if they're in collusion with some aliens, that certainly would explain some of the disappearances that are associated with these aliens and stuff. I don't know. But the thing is, well, we've got, these people are not just crazy people who are saying that they were abducted and they had these experiments done on them, and there's more than enough stories to know that this is really happening. Exactly what is happening, I really couldn't tell you. I haven't done substantial research in that. I really wouldn't have the networks. I don't know many people in the CIA. My turf, if you will, is the Federation of American Women's Clubs Overseas, the IMF Family Association, the World Bank Family Network, UN Local Expat Spouse Association, the Women's National Democratic Club, DAR, Daughters of American Revolution. Okay, so that's my turf. And believe me, this is intelligence work. Very, very important intelligence work, just as much as is infiltrating the CIA and NASA. It may not appear so, but I can assure you it is. Okay, NASA spokesperson feeling the need to respond about numerous false rumors. Of course, there are no humans on Mars. There's only one stupid rumor on the internet. Now that's news. Okay, so obviously they're not going to admit something like that. Oh, and I love that this stuff. I'm like, okay, I want to deal with the problems on Earth, like the things like economics and stuff like that. We can sit about, some evening after I fixed dinner into the wee hours of the morning and talk about whether we're actually outer space right now or it's all a psyop. I don't know. I think that it's just, I've got to concentrate my efforts on one thing at a time. I keep on telling everybody in these corporate people that you got to multitask. I'm like, look, and this goes with the human resource people, stop with that bullshit. You are creating real havoc in your workplaces because a person is incapable of, their mind is going to do one, think about one thing and then another thing at a time. They're not going to be thinking about two things at the same time. Now, some people can switch real quick, back and forth. And those are the people who may have the appearance of being able to think of two things or three things at the same time, but they're not. They're thinking of one thing and then another thing, then, as I say, switching back and forth. I mean, I always say, like, restaurant management, when you work in a busy restaurant, it's the same thing as stock trading or stock, any kind of trading of financial, you go boom, 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 boom. Your people will be like, we'll be real busy, and he'll be like, oh, the same thing as the other person. I'm like, oh, that was a couple orders ago, whatever. Like, that one's over. What is? And it would be the same thing with a trade. You got a trade, you do it, you're on the next one. You can't be thinking about what you did in the past. And I'm sure with people who have gone to war, they can appreciate that. Like, your friend just got shot. Head just got shot from in front of you. But you don't have time to think about that. You got to get on to the next thing. If not, you're going to be the one with your head blown off. So yeah. Particularly, given the danger of the situation, your mind can move, zigzag and zip real quick from one thing to another. But it can't think of it, two things. And if you take these dumb bimbos you got working at the IMF and the World Bank and you try and ask them to do that, you're going to really muddle your pot. So don't try with that. And the thing is also, no, one of the functions of an HR and an office manager in an office, and I would say this, I don't care how many PhDs you have, you're going to get your homework in on time. If, we need comments by such and such day, such and such time. Buddies, comments tomorrow. Next morning, buddies, I need comments. We got to send them off by noon. I need them on my desk at 11. So what if you don't have a PhD in economics? You're there to organize the office, not to kiss anybody's ass. My favorite was, the secretaries complaining about overtime because these people couldn't get their the experts couldn't get their homework in on time. I was like, see, if I was the office manager, I'd be like, no, you go home. Okay, I'm going to do her overtime this evening. But I do want this to be the last, because these are taxpayers who are paying for this. And this goes in, you want to see how much we're doing on overtime? And this is just because people are not being organized. So you really need to do your part. So I'm going to take over for her this evening, and I'll be here to help you. And we won't charge the taxpayers overtime. But can we keep this to, a minimum with, just emergencies instead of all of the time? Because this is really becoming a real issue and a real burden on our budget. You see how you deal with it? That's why they got rid of me. So, God, the feminists have just gotten everywhere, and they are creating havoc everywhere they go. So anyway, yeah, he described the Holocaust as being a contrived myth and Zionism as a cancer on humanity, because he was saying, let's see, there's a documentary, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a Zionist conspiracy that Jews in financial sectors were a secret society that believes itself to be exempt from all laws and customs. Well, they're not so secret, I can assure you that. And they do believe that they're exempt from all laws and customs. I can assure you that. It's not, but the problem is it's not just the Jews in the financial sector. Now, they are prevalent, and that's been a historical fact. We get that from I forget the name of them, but these are the Jews in the Slavic Eastern Europe. They were even brought in. Oh, come on in. We have usury laws. Us Christians, we can't do that, but you Jews can, so go ahead. So that's how the Jews entered in and got their foot in the door in the whole financial sectors, and they haven't been alone. This gets into Marianne Seigart. Well, her family was Jewish, This was her great-great-grandfather that he was held responsible for the financial collapse in 1929 in Austria. And he changed the name from Singer to Seigart and then became a Christian, like many Jews, in order to be, I'm not involved with these people. So that's a whole, that there weren't people exterminated. Yeah, I do believe that they were exterminated. But the whole, the Nazis' extermination camps, this is not an anomaly. It went on all the time. Let's see. The Holocaust contrived mist, and Zionism is a cancer on humanity, urging the eradication of every Zionist who refuses to be loyal to their country of citizenship and the rule of law. Now, with the Charlie Kirk assassination, and the efforts of Israeli to continually manipulate the Americans. You gotta come and fight in the Middle East. You gotta come and fight in the Middle East. And we need more wars in the Middle East. Joe Kent is talking about that. So, not bullshit. This guy, he wasn't talking through his ass. He was talking through his mouth. Rarity in Washington. So let's see, September 2020, he implied 2 Zionists, one of whom was Yitzhak, not sure how you pronounce that, Yitzhak Rabin, were in Dallas and somehow involved in the assassination of John Kennedy. Additionally, he claimed Rabin and Dick Cheney agreed on a proposal for the September 11th attacks. The Zionists installed the controlled demolitions that assisted what I believe was clearly a directed energy-controlled frequency event in the Twin Towers. Controlled demolition alone for WTC-7 and a massive cover-up was executed. 9/11 legal cases did not go to trial. Controlled Zionist judges and prosecutors ensured that all cases were generously settled. Lo and behold, see? Tucker Carlson has been looking at this, and this is not conspiracy. This is truth. Steele was the organizer of the Arise USA tour, a 3-month tour of 50 American states. The Daily Beast reported the tour began in May 2021. Steele promoted Donald Trump's claims of fraud in the 2020 presidential election and told his audience of the treason and high crimes represented by the fake pandemic, unconstitutional lockdown, mask idiocy, and the deaths of sterilization and mutations associated with the untested toxic vaccines. The tour features speakers such as Oath Keepers Richard Mack and conspiracy theory promoters Zach Stone. In 2021, he held a demonstration in Belfast, Maine, to claim that the 2020 presidential election was rigged and called COVID-19 a hoax. He claimed to be the first person to call COVID-19 a hoax. The tour concluded in August 2021 following allegations that $300,000 had been stolen from the tour's budget. He also promoted the QAnon conspiracy theory. Well, I've already talked about the QAnon. That's not conspiracy. That's for real. I've been saying that stuff. I've been exposing all of that stuff on my activism websites for decades. That's why, and war on domestic terrorism. That's why everybody wants to silence me. So Steele died from COVID in Florida on August 29, 2021 at 69. Friend and fellow conspiracy theorist Mark Tassi, who confirmed Steele's death, claimed that his death had deterioration after being given treatment in hospital for COVID-19. Before his admission to hospital, Steele had promoted an anti-vaccination campaign. So I don't know. It's possible he was taken out. Very possible. So that's who Robert Steele is. And JasonGoodman, the case of Steele versus JasonGoodman is because JasonGoodman, this smooth talking JasonGoodman, okay, statement of the facts. Okay, plaintiffs have no agents or employees, no professional fundraisers, no fundraising counsel, no office or mailing address in New York, and do not solicit donations from residents of New York by telephone, over the internet, by direct mail, or otherwise. Okay, well, other than one speaking engagement, Robert was never physically present in New York in 2017 for whatever reason. Okay, whatever. Okay, this is what I wanted to get into. I think this is about like where his company is registered or something like that. I mean, it's difficult nowadays with the internet, and all of this virtual stuff. Okay, on June 13th, 2017, Robert Steele met CSTT agent George Webb. George this is something that I saw, I think it was with Teresa Bruce, with George Webb. And George Webb is he started out in IBM, I don't know, some social media, but he's not a journalist by any way, shape, or form. He apparently is just one of these people who are getting on the web, it looks like JasonGoodman, to stir up trouble. Look, in the literature about domestic abuse, they constantly, or any kind of violence, they constantly, say it's about power and control. And you come in, it's just like some kids at play, and some kids sitting there building his Lego, whatever, spaceship, whatever. And then the other kid comes in and just de joder para joder, as they say in Spanish, he'll go and he'll kick the kid's Lego toy over and break it. And then the kid gets all pissed off and either, throws a fit and starts hitting the other kid or starts crying, whatever. But it's just, there's no objective. It's not like he wanted the other toy from the other kid. No, he just wanted to destroy what the other kid was doing. The same stuff. And that what seemed George Webb is about, as JasonGoodman is about. There's quite a few of them out there. So they meet at this restaurant. Goodman and Negron, this is some woman. We'll see a photo of her. Live stream the interview, which Goodman simultaneously published on his YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I went to the YouTube channel to try and see the video. It's been taken down. During the live stream, Robert shared his views on 9/11, pedophilia, and the purpose of #UNRIG. That's his movement he's doing, which I do support. We need people speaking out about this. So during the live stream, Goodman, not Robert, so this is JasonGoodman, voluntarily solicited donations to help with the #UNRIG campaign. This happened with Candace Owens when she started, we're going to support Mitch Snow and we're going to get some money for Mitch Snow. And Mitch Snow is like, the thing is, we're just going to give you money. Stop throwing money around. What we need is to clean up the courts. Mitch Snow is like, I mean, you can keep on throwing money after him, and he can keep on paying lawyers, and the game keeps on playing. The only people getting rich is all the lawyers off of this. So they just, throw money at him. So it's the same thing. And then Mitch Snow got attacked that he was just after money when he wasn't the one who asked for money. It was Candace Owens said, "Oh, everybody, please send money to Mitch Snow." So, see, this seems to be a tactic of also these podcasters. I want everybody to retweet the hashtag UNRIG video, whatever. For people who are just joining in, I'm going to include in the comments again the URL for the Indiegogo account. If every one of our 1,000+ viewers will donate $25, we can really move the needle on this thing. Exposing the pedophiles, all of these issues that Robert David Steele was working on. The problem is throwing money after this does no good. Oh, give this person some more. There's a lot of those people out there. I want an explanation. Paula Lucas, who's in collusion with the Federation of American Women's Clubs overseas, the World Bank, and the IMF, and that gets into Sheila McKenna as well. I want explanations about your money. Excuse me. Sorry, I need to get another bottle of water. So I want explanations on where your money's coming from and what you're using it on. Paula Lucas, she came to speak at the World Bank. I went to the thing, politely sat in the audience, listened to her speech. My objective was to go and talk to her because I was like, excuse me, the Federation of American Women's Clubs is ignoring me. And y'all better look at what's going on here because this is really serious shit. When I went to go and talk to her, she and Karen Lewis of FACO, who's the human rights expert, they ran away from me. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm not going to run after them. But I made it very clear to Paula Lucas, there's going to be some accountability. All of you people, I want to know where the money's coming from and where the money is going. Talk about GDP and economies and all that shit. Bullshit. Okay. So, give money to, this campaign. It wasn't Steele who was asking for a donation. It was Goodman promoting the whole damn thing. So there's only one person who donated to the Earth Intelligence Network on June 13th, 2017, identified himself as living in New York. That person donated $50. Okay, so, the donations, there doesn't seem to be there's huge millions of dollars moving and stuff like that. So, I mean, definitely this guy can justify, he's exposing pedophiles. He's exposing a lot of shit. So definitely these amounts can be very easily justified. It's not people who are doing stuff like this that I'm going to have a problem with. It's somebody who's getting $10 million, $50 million, $100 million, and promoting bullshit, and then involved, like the Romanian Angels, Erica Kirk. What's going on? There's a lot of dots there. But see, Erica Kirk is in this whole development community, sugar babies, Melania Trump, Ivana Trump, the World Bank Family Network, the IMF Family Association, all of these, the Democrat, because the Democrats control Washington and New York. Batia, who is one of Megyn Kelly's sidekicks. Check out Batia right now with the whole Israeli stuff. So as Batia says, oh yeah, everybody in New York is a Democrat. If you want to vote, you got to be a Democrat, a registered Democrat, because the elections are decided in the primaries because the Democrats are going to win. So if you want to get in your vote to count, you got to get it in the primaries. This is the same as Washington. It's completely controlled. Everybody who lived here is under the Twilight Zone psyop of the Democrats. I mean, just go online and you can see. I've had it podcast, particularly. You want the lowdown. Oh, I mean, when Jennifer Welch, and her interview with Don Lemon, I'm like, oh yeah, Rachel, we can see you moved to New York. Things are getting worse. I mean, there's a lot of things I agree with from these ladies. But Jennifer, is your typical suburban, white, blonde, suburban housewife. She got her, she was in some reality show. So that's how she got her fame. Bitching about her life, bitching about everything around her instead of becoming involved. Oh, our school system is a piece of shit. We'll get on the PTA. Everything is falling apart because all of you liberals are too busy having partying and not involved in your communities like when your grandparents were workers. And they, men and women were pissed off about the state of affairs. So anyway, okay, so Goodman and Negron publish a video on YouTube, Clear and Present Danger, Calm Before the Storm. So, they're promoting, I guess. In the video, Goodman and Negron claimed that Webb had intel from a source identified as deep uranium, indicating a strong possibility of clear and present danger due to illicit radiological material on board transoceanic container ship Maersk, Memphis. Goodman and Negron encouraged the crowdsourced community to spring into action and alert the U.S. Coast Guard that there was a dirty bomb aboard the Maersk, Memphis. Goodman told CSTT subscribers to call the Port Authority. That's an excellent idea. Someone call the Port Authority there in Charleston. Someone, in fact, called in the putative dirty bomb threat, which caused the terminal at the Port of Charleston, South Carolina, to be shut down. Now, I vaguely remember this story of, being shut down, and it was somebody just... And I was pissed as shit. I was like, God, we're trying to expose real problems, and then you got these people who come in and make up shit. And then, of course, the people who are exposing real stuff are not taken seriously. So it indirectly, is damaging to exposing the criminality in the entire matrix. So in truth, there was no intel. The dirty bomb was a hoax. The FBI immediately opened an investigation into the false report of a dirty bomb aboard the Maersk, Memphis. Robert learned about the dirty bomb hoax and chose to distance himself from Goodman, Negron, and CSTT. Webb, George Webb. Robert immediately, I can assure you, there was this interview. I'm almost positive it was Teresa Bruce. She went through it with George Webb, and it was like, this man makes absolutely no sense. I've listened a couple times to his podcast about the assassination, and I'm like, I can't follow anything that this guy is saying. He makes absolutely no sense. He's all over the map and making all sorts of claims that are ludicrous. So Robert informed Goodman by private email that Robert immediately canceled the interview with Goodman and Negron, planned for June 15, 2017. He informed Goodman by private email that Robert Steele, no longer wanted anything to do with Goodman and CSTT. Well, I understand that. If I see something like that, with people involved in exposing conspiracy theories and stuff like that, I can tell you I'm distancing myself real quick from them. Now, they can come out with crazy claims, and I mean, like, there's one homeless guy who's come into International Square. I haven't seen him in quite a while. I don't know if he's still in DC or not. And I mean, he definitely, there's a lot of issues there that happened to him, trafficked, and there are many things. I mean, I don't have the workforce, the funding, the capability to investigate all of these things. It's not, I mean, I believe him totally. It's just, as I explained to him, look, when you start coming on, you got to focus on some facts and some evidence and finding solutions to these problems. I'm not saying that these things didn't happen to you and that these issues didn't occur, and we've got to, but like, sitting around crying about it is not helping anything. We've all got to work together to try and expose this and put our own. It's just like Barbara Stone, who submitted the grievances of the family court victims to the International Criminal Courts under Crimes Against Humanity, she said, when she was putting together the stuff. And she, again, organizational skills are not her forte. And working with other people. But then she bitches and screams and doesn't understand why people are not cooperating with her. So anyway, she said, oh, it was like goddamn competition amongst the victims who had the worst case. I said, tell me about it. Kind of find it nauseating, all of the victims of Virginia Giuffre. I mean, this is the Epstein files. There are some people, Virginia Giuffre included. I mean, by all reports, Virginia Giuffre was as bad, if not worse, than Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia Giuffre was molested as a child, and she was groomed as a child. So she was a victim, but she also became a perpetrator, or part of that amalgam in the whole matrix. So this is where it's really difficult. They send Ghislaine Maxwell to prison, but they've made Virginia Giuffre into some frickin' Virgin Mary martyr. It's all pretty crazy. And then you have, for example, I mean, some people are like, wait a second, the woman was 25 when she was with Jeffrey Epstein. That's not pedophilia. See, so there's, and this is my whole point with that whole case. if we're going to attack the pedophiles, you have to stop playing this game of let's just move the bar and let's just try and get all of these men and trap and no, we need to clearly define, as it has been for a very long time, hundreds of years. Pedophilia is prepubescent, boys or girls. The children post-pubescent, we're dealing with different issues. These are when boys and girls are becoming sexually active. So they are not these innocent victims who have absolutely no knowledge of what's going on and shouldn't have any knowledge of this stuff. This is precisely what adolescence is about. Oh, girls, you see it faster. You're developing boobs. You're going to attract boys. You're going to start be looking at girls. How are you going to deal with this? And there is no support. That's what's being, the ball has been dropped. So these kids, all sorts of stuff is happening out there. Okay, so Robert learned about the dirty bomb holes and chose to distance himself. Robert immediately canceled an interview with the Goodman and Negron plan for 2016. Robert informed Goodman by we already went that upon receipt of Robert's email. And in retaliation and reprisal for Robert's decision to no longer have anything to do with Goodman and CSTT, Goodman, in combined with and concert with Negron, Holmes, and others, began an unprecedented social media smear campaign against plaintiffs. This is going on all the time. That's what happened with Gary Melton and Candace. I mean, that's why I jumped in and defended Candace. I mean, it's the same thing when Erica Kirk, this was just after the assassination, she got attacked on LinkedIn by a bunch of witches attacking the trad wife, the career women, attacking the trad wife. I mean, I was like, how dare you, little witches? I mean, how shall I say? I was defending the trad wife, not necessarily Erica Kirk, because that's what they were attacking, was the trad wife. And I was like, how dare you? Oh, El Colmo. What I loved was when I went in to look at the profiles of these little ladies. Lo and behold, domestic violence experts and advocates. Like, yeah. See how they hate the trad wives. Gotcha again. Gotcha moment. For me. Burned ya. So, okay. Let's see. Beginning on June 15th. But my point being is, I defended Candace because the attacks that Gary Melton were making on Candace were unfair. Now, I have my issues with Candace, particularly I contacted her about my investigation and work and my problems with the feminists, and she doesn't even, she's a celebrity podcaster. She's not gonna waste her time with a cave-dwelling dowager socialite who's been canceled from the ruling elite she wants to be a part of. The cool kids, the in crowd. I'm like, I left the cool kids. My favorite was my younger sister. She said, you didn't excel at Foxcroft. Because I wasn't popular with the in-girl, the cool girls, the preppies who spent their vacations at Palm Beach and Martha's Vineyard in their family's estates. I really wasn't interested. I just laughed. I was like, are you kidding me? I was the smartest student that school ever had. And I definitely wasn't interested in some freaking popularity contest. When I saw the whole Beverly Hills 90210, I was like, oh, see, still going on. Even when you make them co-ed. So anyway, Goodman, Negron, and Holmes combined, associated, agreed, and acted in concert, most times together on camera, to publish the following false and defamatory statements of or concerning plaintiffs. On June 15th, 2017, Goodman and Negron produced and published a video on YouTube entitled Deep State Panic Attack. In this video, Goodman encouraged viewers to demand a return of their donations from the UN rig. Speaking to viewers in Virginia and elsewhere, Goodman stated, I was a little bit cautious with Robert David Steele, and I didn't trust him either, Pamela. So yeah, I want my money back too, Karen. I'm going to go call American Express and see if I can cancel that donation. So Alex says RDS is a scam. I got to admit, I feel a little betrayed by him. See, they pulled the same thing with Mitch Snow. On June 16, 2017, Goodman produced and published a video on YouTube entitled Getting the Dirty Bomb Story Straight. In this video, Goodman stated, we made a big mistake with Robert Steele, and I'm going to have to communicate with him about this. We've raised a lot of money for him. We need to apologize to you guys for that. So why are they associating Robert David Steele with getting the dirty bomb story straight? Did they insinuate in that David Steele was the one who gave them the information? I don't understand. I don't understand. Why would his name come up? That was totally separate. And Steele, in fact, said, wait a second, if you guys are producing fake news in order to create, public disorder, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Like any person with a brain would do. On June 16, 2017, Goodman and Negron produced and published a video on YouTube entitled The Failing New York Times. They have a point. As with all the videos at issues in this action, The Failing New York Times was scripted ahead of time. Goodman and Negron discussed the subject matter and content via email, telephone, and or text. Wait a second, I should have maybe looked at this footnote. Maybe that would have, we've raised a lot of money for him, yeah. Oh, they were saying that Goodman was saying that Robert Steele had committed felony charity fraud by soliciting donations in New York and was knowingly false. So let's see, continue on. That's another issue on that one. Okay, they agreed upon the storyline, thesis, theme, and tone. Goodman and Negron appeared and spoke on screen together with one voice and a shared common purpose is evidenced by their language and visual expressions. Yeah, it was a, scripted thing. This wasn't some discussion amongst experts, like in all of the think tanks. I love going to these think tanks and the World Bank, IMF, World Bank annual spring and annual meetings. I've been blacklisted, but I'd go in and then I'd sit in the Q&A, give me a microphone, okay. And I have to say, I don't like going to those things. It's a lot of time. It's like Charlie Kirk going to the universities and challenging these people. I mean, maybe he enjoyed it, but I don't. And it's a lot of time, and then you got to sit there. And yeah, I guess maybe I'm at the beginning of my learning curve where Charlie Kirk was, Because sometimes I'm a little bit long-winded and they get pissed off at me, but I'm like, you know what, you guys are boring the shit out of me, so I guess maybe this is my way of getting back at you. So I don't know. Sometimes I could be a little more concise in my Q&A comments, but they don't like me. My favorite is Nancy Pelosi when she sends me in the back of the line when I get up and ask questions about Moms Rising conference panel discussion group. Yeah, it's all psyop. It's all fake and gay. They've come up. That's a new thing that everybody's saying. I'm like, well, where did that expression come up from? I'm always interested in like how expressions started. Goodman and Negron appeared and spoke on screen together with one body. Okay, Negron made no attempt to correct, contradict, or distance herself from Goodman. The videos are clearly a joint production effort. In the failing New York Times, Goodman stated, I want to invite our friend Robert David Steele to give back the money to all the people that we raised money for his organization the other day. So I'm making an open call right now. Everyone should go directly to their credit card company and cancel the charge. And if there are financial crime experts out there, I'd like to know if it's legal for Mr. Robert David Steele to make up lies about me and spread these lies to our viewers. Steele didn't make up any lies. He said, he just distanced himself. He said, I don't want to be in an interview with you. Distanced himself. That's it. And as I said, you know, the amount of money that they're talking about here is totally legit for Steele to have donations like that. Organizations that are doing this and have budgets like that, I got no problem with them. Nobody should have any problem with them. They could definitely go and pay for a hotel. They're not staying at some Trump Tower 5-star hotel. They're not jet setting around on private airplanes like TPUSA. I mean, I'm like, what is this? You're a Christian organization, a church? And you're flying around on private jets? What is going on with you people? Okay, on June 20, 2017, Goodman and Negron produced and published a video on YouTube entitled COG. I don't know what that is. Goodman, Negron, and Webb appeared together in the video, which was filmed in a hotel room in London, England. What are they doing in London, England? Look at this lady, how she's sitting with her knees up. I mean, this is how you conduct an interview? I'll tell you, I remember one time, this is Nemet Shafiq. She was over at the IMF, this big wig. She started the Institute for Capacity Development with Sharmini Curry. And I'm watching them. I would often go into these, I'd have these like meetings. And I'd go and take attendance. So I'm sitting in the corner. I'm like, oh, I'm good. But I'm listening. See, all of these people thought I was just doodling all the time and it was some bimbo idiot. I wasn't. I was listening and observing everything. I was a spy for the American people and taxpayers across the world. So anyway, as I say, this is like, in an office setting, she takes off her shoes and she like folds her legs and sticks them underneath her, underneath her butt, like sitting in a chair. First, I'm like, I don't know how you're comfortable like that. But anyway, we saw that in Trump's first presidency, everybody criticized Kellyanne Conway for doing the same type of thing. I was like, yeah, this is not professional, ladies. In office setting, there is a certain amount of decorum, excuse me. So, okay, in this video, Goodman states, Trish, I'm glad you mentioned stealing because you just reminded me of something, particularly the Robert the robber, David Steele. Many of our viewers have expressed real anger at feeling tricked by the campaign from Robert David Steele. Well, he's not the one who, see, these guys really fucked up. They called for this, go, there's a dirty bomb. They made up something, there's a dirty bomb, and they created havoc. I mean, this gets into the freedom of speech. So and this exists since a long time. So the freedom of speech, they say, yeah, you have the freedom of speech, but it is limited. And for example, if you are in a theater, a crowded space with lots and lots of people, and you scream, fire, and you cause panic and people to flee. Now, if somebody gets trampled, and like, let's just say somebody gets trampled to death, you can be held to account for murder. Now, you have various degree. That would be, I'm not sure, that probably wouldn't be like intentional manslaughter. That would be like another degree. But still, you know, or if somebody is hurt, even that, they can come after you and sue you for damages in the civil court because, okay, let's just say there was no fire. If you scream fire and there's really a fire, that's another kind of, but no fire and you scream fire. They can sue you because you created a situation that put other people's lives at risk, or their property or bodily harm. So you created a tort and they can come after you. So this whole thing of freedom of speech is not absolute. And this is what the podcasters need to be made to realize. For example, in this, David Steele would definitely have grounds to be to sue these people for what they're doing. They're lying. First, they create problems, and then in order to detract attention away from it and shine the limelight on somebody else and try and insinuate it they're the problem, they're the one who caused it. Because I can assure you, people out there would all of a sudden be, well, wait a second, David Steele, who's the one who leaked the information about the dirty bomb. I'm sure that's what the insinuation of these guys were and was the intent. This is why it's not just intent, but also outcome. Even if you're not showing intent of these guys, although it's pretty evident that Goodman and Necron and his cronies were going to destroy Steele. But even if you don't show intent, you can definitely show reckless disregard for the truth and created damages for Steele. So on June 26, 2017, Goodman and Holm produced and published a video on YouTube entitled Queen Tut Called R.E. Robert David Steele Unrig Fraud Claims. See, we got all of these pedophiles taken over, and people like JasonGoodman creating this kind of crap. This video featured, and Nick Ron. See, women are involved in all of this shit. This video featured a still shot of Goodman and Holmes side by side together. Queen Tut. Okay. Okay, that goes into tax deductible stuff. That's another issue. Okay, so in this video, Goodman stated Oops, sorry. I question if any of his credentials are authentic. I think he's just a cheap con man. I mean, his credentials, what are Goodman, Steele has distanced himself from Goodman. So, like, okay, bro, I'm good. You go your way, I go my way. So, he knows it's a useless campaign. He's just trying to suck $250,000 out of people. I think he's all involved in a pretty serious financial scam. I think that there's a possibility that RICO charges could be involved because he has DeFango with him. I don't know who DeFango is. I think that he's defrauding people across state lines. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, of course, but it seems like he is doing things that are very criminally actionable. I'm obviously not a mental health care professional, but it certainly seems he's got some kind of schizophrenic behavior there. It's people who are sick and tired of people like Robert David Steele, the Robert Davids who steal. Holmes stated, oh man, I get it. He's really conning people. When you look at his behavior, his pattern of behavior with this scam of the electoral reform. Not a scam. Everything that Steele was saying is true. But see, it's not Goodman. One of the issues that's going on here is Goodman is just jealous that somebody is actually out there. And I think George Webb, that's part of the motivation of these, let's call them con artist podcasters, investigative reporters, because they're not. I mean, I've looked at George Webb. Jason Goodman, let's see. I don't think I was able to find. Okay, who is Jason Goodman? Documentary filmmaker and founder of Crowdsource the Truth, an independent journalism platform focused on viewer support investigations. Let me make sure that you all can see this. Yeah. His affiliations include his own outlet, of course, which appeared on Redacted. Sometimes they can be good, sometimes these are bad. These two others. Oh, and the thing is, Redacted, his wife, it's a husband and wife team. She is, I'm pretty sure, I think it was Jehovah's Witness and not LDS. But yeah, another one of these, fanatical religious groups. Okay, so Redacted 707W. Redacted's not a religious group, it's a podcaster. I'm talking about her. Okay, so let's ask AI. Okay, the investigative journalist, the journalist. And his tell me more about him and his education. Okay, he founded the platform Crowdsource the Truth. We'll check in that. He went to NYU. Okay. Bachelor of Fine Arts in Film. Woke liberal. Syosset High School before university. This is a high school in New York. Okay. Is that where in New York is that? It's around New York City. No, this guy, New York City. See, this is the thing. It's the United States versus New York City, Washington, D.C., and Hollywood. Then, you got Miami helps a little bit, Chicago, but those are the three main enemies. Okay, this is, okay, Sarasot Syoset. Not sure. That doesn't help me. It's Long Island. Oh, Lord. Okay, Long Island. Yeah, okay. That's Manhattan. That's New York. That's Cornelia Guest. That's, yeah, okay. Before shifting his focus to independent political journalism, Goodman built a technical career in film and media. Yeah, he's entertainment. Okay, the technical background, whatever. I don't understand any of that stuff. He founded his crowdsource the truth. He founded this platform to leverage collective intelligence. That's what Robert Steele was doing. Encouraging viewers to participate in investigations and reporting often include technical video analysis, such as examining frame rates and ballistics in high-profile events. Okay, but he may be, what do they call that? Damage control. And, a PSYOP guy who's in there for damage control. This is, for me, that's what Gary Melton is. But Gary Melton, that's a little bit more complicated, because I actually think that, oh, he's not going to like this. I think he's just being, he's controlled by his wife. He's all this macho man, but I don't think, I think his wife is the one who's wearing the pants and behind all of that stuff. So that kind of changes my perspective of what I'm looking at there. Okay, note on identity. It's okay. Okay, yeah, no, this is the one that we're looking at. Okay, is he married? I don't know. Is he married? People don't like me asking this question, but I'm sorry, we're looking at the ladies. This is the trad wife versus the having it all career women. So I'm sorry, men out there, your wives are in the game. Is married with kids and what? Her or his name. I don't think he's gay. Okay, no public information. This is another thing. All of these social media influencers, I'm sorry, this is another, like with the kings and queens, you got to announce the birth. We got to know. I mean, we're not going to come in to your delivery room and assure that your offspring are really your offspring. I'm not proposing to go that far. But no, I'm sorry. If you're going to be any kind of place out in the public or place of leadership or something, I want to know where you're coming from, who you come from, who your family is, who you're involved with. And this whole privacy stuff of you public figures, no. Okay, yeah, not him, that's not him. Yeah. No, I don't know. Okay, well, I'm not going to waste my time on that one. I mean, there's other ways to find out who she would be. I won't tip my hand. But at the moment, but I will, as I say, this is something that's important to look at. So on June 26, 2017, Goodman republished his interview with Holmes to a new target audience by tweeting the YouTube video on his Twitter followers. Goodman habitually engaged in this form of ritual republication. With few exceptions, if any Goodman videos were simultaneously published on CSTT's Twitter feed and on CSTT's Facebook page. Well, I always repost the three. Twitter, X, whatever, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I mean, occasionally I might not do LinkedIn. It depends on what the thing is. Okay, on June 27, 2017, Goodman produced and published a video on YouTube entitled Frank Bacon Call Regarding Robbing and Stealing. Unrig. As part of the modus operandi of the conspiracy and scheme to defame plaintiffs, Goodman employed memes and caricatures to hide the identity of the speakers. The Frank Bacon video featured Goodman speaking with an anonymous person who's represented by the caricature of a hot dog and a strip of bacon. Well, I mean, in this video, Goodman stated, let's assume for a moment he's a con man or a hypothetical situation in which he may not be a con man. Claiming him to be an ex-CIA agent is sort of the perfect con. I mean, this is just vicious. This is something a bunch of little bitches would do. This is, you know, I've always had a problem with women because they just backstab. I mean, at least usually when you're dealing with men, it's a frontal attack. I always say men, you know, you piss them off, they'll punch you in the nose, punch you in the face, and it's done. I mean, okay, it depends on what they did to you, but it's done. We're good, you know, whatever. You stole my girlfriend. Yeah, well, you know, she could have stayed with me if she wanted to. Yeah, it's a free world. So yeah, you stole her from me. I punch you. We're done. We're good. You know, you hurt me or you punch me in the nose, I'll punch you in the nose. You see what I'm saying? But usually it's done. Oh, women, it festers. It festers. And this is not men, you know, women saying that they want to make it in a man's world. What about men wanting to make it in a women's world? And a vicious, viperous, backstabbing witchery. Yeah, it's not a pretty picture. Let's see, on June 29, 2017, Goodman and Negron produced and published a video on YouTube entitled Squid War versus SpongeBob. In this video, Goodman stated what Google helped him to do was to file privacy complaints for videos that we have that include evidence of Robert David Steele committing fraud. Google helped me when I typed in, is Robert David Steele a lying moron? And the answer came back, yes. Well, I mean, Google's going to make a judgment call on that? I mean, Google might say, is this a lie? Is that a lie? And confirm that. But is somebody a lying moron? I don't know if Google goes into the judgment category, you know, calls. I don't know. And the answer came back, yes. I will say that where's the proof? I will say that Robert David, who steals, has already put a privacy complaint on that video. If you're going to appear, I don't know why privacy complaint. If you're going to, defamation, yeah, but privacy. If you're going to appear on there, the Alex Jones show, or InfoWars, and you are going to claim to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, even though you are doing the nominating yourself or having some of your friends do the nominating, I want to show what a fraudster this individual is. I mean, you know, it's just, it goes on and on, this stuff. It's just, you know, well, I'm going to show you, you know, you cancel me and I'm going to come after you. I mean, with the Charlie Kirk assassination, one of the things that I was just like, God. Apparently, so Baron Coleman, he threatened patriotic housewife. He was going to destroy her for stealing his content. And she's like, I mean, she was apparently in tears and all sorts of drama. And she's like, I didn't steal his content because there are people out there who will send email tips. And all of the podcasters are like, oh my, it's inundated. I can't keep up. We're being inundated with all of these tips. And they don't know if they're true. They don't know if they're not true. I mean, this is the same thing that I've had with the political candidates. Well, you need to put together an email inbox system that does triage. It's not going to be too difficult with the technology out there to set up. You already have that type of thing in all sorts of websites, like employment ads websites. They're real good at that one. So, and already, for example, up on Capitol Hill, if you want to contact your congressperson, you can go and there'll be some sort of, what are you contacting? What's the subject? And there's another question. So it does some sort of, as I say, triage and organization of all of those emails so you can keep up. But nobody wants to listen to me. They want to squabble and fight. So anyway, that's kind of what, oh my goodness, I've gone on for 3 hours almost. So that's what I had wanted to really cover in this whole thing with this, what I was listening to last night with Blake and Matt, because these are issues that I've been seeing kind of sporadically and from up above. We need to come down. I keep on explaining, this is like Google Maps, like you can see it from far up above and you can see that there's something over there, and then you have to zoom in and catch all the details in order to figure it out. So I don't know, that was an interesting conversation. I encourage people to check it out, listen to them. Okay, so I'm going to end it there for right now. And I did want to there's a couple of other things. I do want to do Spanian. I don't know, there's some stuff that I still have to get into. Okay.